Rise from your grave? No, okay? I'm not gonna rise from my grave. I'm gonna take a nap. Alright? Don't tell me what to do. What are you gonna do? Kill me? I'm already in a grave. Alright, guys. So, since the good old world of capitalism has decided that it is spooky season, I personally disagree with that, but it's whatever. Capitalism has decided that it is spooky season. If you've gone into any store ever right now, they already have all their Halloween decorations out. Seems a bit early, but you know, whatever. I'm just gonna, follow the social norms and just accept that, end of August, beginning of September, totally is spooky season. And in light of that, I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about some fun fears that I have, just to, get myself in the good old scared mood. Um, we're gonna go ahead and go down all my irrational fears, starting with number one, mummies. Just a good old thing of childhood trauma. Moving on. Number two, I think this one is kind of common amongst most people, is elevators. I don't even think this is considered irrational at this point. They're terrifying if you think about it in like more than 2 seconds. If you really like think about what an elevator is and think about all the way it can fail, I know from my father who does construction, there's a ton of safety features in them. I know they're not designed to kill you, but when you look at it at face value, you just step into a box and just hope to God it gets you where you want to go, otherwise you plummet to your death. It's a little scary, so elevators. Number three, again, I think this is more of like a childhood fear than it is an adult fear, is roller coasters. um, I hate them. I hate them more than anything. I hate riding them. Just the speed and the momentum is just too much for, I think, a human to enjoy. To be normal. I don't know. I don't like, getting on this like rickety cart and being like, okay, cool, we're just gonna launch you on these tracks and hope that everything holds up. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I'm gonna add a part two onto that fear as well and just say that those like pop-up carnivals are definitely a part of it. I don't know how many of you guys have had this before. There's one that comes every year in my in my hometown in like our mall parking lot. It's like every summer they always like just appear, and it's terrifying because it's like a 2-day setup for all this, right? And like there's just, you can't set up a ride like that in 2 days. I refuse to believe it. Like, not without missing some bolts in there, and it's just the fear of that is just too much. Like, just the I guess the over efficiency, or even just like the, I don't even know, like just the speed at which this is built up is like faster than the things on the ride, and I don't think that's something that should be allowed at all. Like, there's just no way that any of those are safe. Not to mention the price of that alone terrifies me enough. Like if I'm gonna pay like what, $20 to $40, for something that's probably gonna kill me, I'd like for it to be a bit of an easier death, honestly, and a little bit less terrifying. I don't want to be already in fear that I'm on a roller coaster. The adrenaline's already going, and then just die because like 15 bolts were missing because they had like 30 minutes to put the whole thing up, okay? Just not a good idea. I don't like them. No. Roller coasters at amusement parks will always be on my fear list. No. Number 4, men. I don't really think I need much of an explanation for this. I think that history itself can provide that explanation. Number 5, children. I also have had plenty of explanation for this. If you want to watch my previous video, that's the justification I have for this fear. It had to make it on the list. I'm sorry. They're terrifying, okay? Just moving on. Number 6, this one just kind of goes to like more of like an anxiety thing. I don't necessarily think that this is like a huge irrational fear that most people have, unless you also have fun social anxiety, such as myself. But crowds, I think, are just very terrifying. I don't like being in large groups of people. I think there's just too many people there for too many things to go wrong. I'm sure I can go down a rabbit hole about, all the fear and the claustrophobia and all that kind of stuff that most people with social anxiety also feel whenever they step into a large crowd. I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that even just, I just have to say crowds and people are like, oh yeah, I get it. That's terrifying. I'm gonna do yet again another part 1 and 2 of number 7. Part 1 is moose. Honestly, just too big of an animal. Like, if I'm being honest here, that animal is just like way too big just to be like existing for the purpose that it exists at, okay? Like, I think especially it was just like the knowledge of it like scared me, right? Cuz like growing up, like I'm sure most people imagined like a moose, unless you like, were in areas where moose were very present. But for me, not so much. And so in my head, I always pictured a moose being like slightly bigger than like a deer or something. But they're like as big as a freaking like semi, dude. Like they are ginormous. Like they tower almost every single type of car. They are huge. They are a giant beast, and I don't understand why they have to be so big. Like all they do is just like hang out and eat plants. Like there's no reason for their size. They're just decided to be huge. Like when nature was doing its thing, moose they went to the moose and they're like, "Hey, so you just, you chill out and you eat plants, right? Like there's no, you don't really need much else, right? Well, I mean, like we'll give you some antlers for defense, but like that's kind of all you need, right?" And moose were just like, "Yeah, do you mind if I'm also like 8 feet tall like all the time and like I just am I just am way bigger than I need to be?" And nature was like, "Is there a reason for it?" And they're just like, "Nah, I want to be big. Is that chill?" But then like you can't say no to that. Like once you see the size of it, it's kind of just like, "Yeah, all right, you're just gonna be, yeah, you can be huge, man. I'm not gonna argue with it because you're ginormous and you're like you could just look at me and crush me like an ant. Like you're just huge. Like I don't understand it. Moose are too big. Like they're uncomfortably large for me, and I don't get why they have to be so big." And I guess the part two to fear number 7, I'll just make it. You know what? Screw it. Number 8, hippos.